Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully some of you can hear me. Popping out that chat. Lovely stuff. What a fantastic day. It is FAQ day. We bloody love FAQ day. Holy FAQ or holy FAQ. Holy FAQ. It's the FAQ day. I've got to stop saying it like that. I'm sure YouTube it will have a little bit of a go at me for doing that. If you can hear me, please let me know. That'd be great. We're live now. Yeah, we're gonna go over this very I would say very what's kind of the term here? This very light touch FAQ. I think is probably the way to put it. It's I'll kind of go over my thoughts. I'm on my lunch break, from work. I work from home. I have a full-time job. This is not my full-time thing. I'm sure my output would be much bigger on YouTube if this was my full-time gig. So I've been kind of in and out of meetings all morning. I've managed to kind of have a good scan through and we're going to give you that roaring in-depth analysis that you come here for. So yeah, if you're watching this, let me know if you've got any questions. Leave any comments, messages, chats, all of that good stuff. That'd be great. I'm going to respin this and put this out as a main video later on as well. So if you're watching this, then let me know your thoughts as we're going through it. Cool. As per normal, I say as per normal, this is going to be the second FAQ highlight that I have done. I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation because I think visual guides are always incredibly helpful. So let's go over that with this. I'm just very proud of my of my thumbnail, as you can see. Holy fact. As I say, I've really got to stop saying that, otherwise the algorithm is going to get very annoyed with me. But yes, anywho, just see. Let's kind of get into it. So let me stop playing around. Do drop me a message if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, anything like that, then let me know, and let's just get into it. Right, I've got 29 minutes until I need to get back to work. So let's see what I can do. So as I say, Key takeaways for me. This is not a huge shake-up to the meta. It is not like the previous one. I think I am tacitly thinking of this as like a 1.6 edition. It's not like a huge jump up. Like a total kind of reshape. It is like largely a tweaks here there, lots of large clarification. It's largely clarifications and I guess what you would call bug fixes to kind of things in the game, and answers to kind of a lot of vague questions that people have when they're playing the game. A lot of this sort of stuff is really clarified. I'll try and go into it as much as I can. The biggest changes are, unsurprisingly, with Cathay. They have been... I don't want to say that they've been nuked, because like, I don't really feel that that is what they've tried to do here. They've tried to, from what I can see, they have just made them manageable. They're not like Eldar at the beginning of 10th edition anymore, which is nice. There's lots of people that have got, fantastic and fantastically, painted and beautiful Cathay armies that I think a lot of people are kind of scared to field, because they don't want to be, that guy in their gaming group. So, it's nice for them to kind of to have that kind of change. So look at it more as a positive. Then there are a bunch of, like, as I say, lots of small changes to factions. So lots of things like leadership changes. There's the biggest amount of points changes that we've seen so far throughout the old world. They've been very, very sparing with points changes. I would argue probably too sparing in this, but let's take a look. And one kind of other thing that I've kind of put in there, I might be reading too much into it, but I definitely see some like kind of visions of where they're going and potentially what is coming down the pipeline. And as I say, this is kind of just me reading into it. But yeah. So the big winners, I would say, for this are, quotes, the kind of original good armies. There's lots of like kind of little tweaks and changes across the board. Like one of my favorite kind of things, like when I opened up the Forces of Fantasy FAQ, was the Flagellants, who are now toughness 4, which is, a real quite big change to a unit that was already quite good. You can now run the Lector as well, is now like leadership 10, so they're now an effective general, so you can still have like kind of captains of the Empire and stuff like that, and still have your Lector being your general, which is really nice. So you can run a BSB. I would say there are a few other armies that could have done with that sort of change as well. I am largely thinking of things like the Handmaidens of Aisha in the High Elves. You can't really run those as a general at the moment, because you won't have access to battle standard bearers and all of that good stuff. And I a lot of armies kind of really need a good BSB, and you can't run a BSB because the High Elf Noble, I forget which order it is, but the base one that you can use as your BSB is leadership 9, and the Handmaiden is leadership 8. So stuff like that kind of across the board would be a lot nicer. But anyway, you're a big winner if you play against the undead a lot, and you have an opponent that is playing huge amounts of undead. It's now been clarified. I think a lot of the community were kind of saying you can't make regen rolls on stable wounds. That has been just clarified and codified and put into the rules. That's quite a big thing. And yeah, I think it's just good. That's just good. I think a lot of people have kind of adapted that anyway. I would argue that Tree Folk are really big winners from this. There are changes to Timber. Timber now counts for combat resolution, which is huge. As I was in a group chat, someone said you could now have like a kamikaze tree lord coming in, and it makes tree lords and tree men and all of that a bit more powerful. Dryads have had an inch added to their movement and now have Armor Bane 1. Would have been nice if maybe it was just AP 1, but it's better than nothing. Makes them even more fun. And as I kind of said before, non-competitive Cathay players, your army looks a lot more balanced. I imagine there's going to be a bunch of second-hand balloons hitting eBay. So if you wanted to grab a balloon, it might be a good time to try and grab one. I imagine they're going to be a little bit cheaper on that resale market. The losers through this FAQ. definitely people looking for huge game changes. That's just not this FAQ. I saw a lot of people that were just kind of a bit disappointed at the changes to the lack, I would say, changes to the core rulebook. The FAQ document, when I opened it up, there was not a huge amount of magenta and blue like there was in the previous FAQ update. It's lots of just little clarifying statements, lots of little kind of changes here and there, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not a huge one. I think they put in the Warhammer community article. You know, I don't want to kind of go over that. You can read it for yourselves. And you know, this was kind of really a targeted tweaking. Lots of people have built up armies based on the 1.5 change, 1.5 edition, and lots of people have built armies around that update. And I think it is wholly fair to not massively come in and change all of that. I think competitive Cathay players, people that I have seen that have gone out and bought 5 balloons to go and take advantage of that to go and do that. That reign of dominance is over. I think it's probably like, I'm not against people playing competitive, but it's just like, if you kind of go and do that min maxing sort of thing, you should expect those sorts of kind of changes to come in and to take effect. It's like, it's not that if this is a surprise to you as a competitive Cathay player, you've been living under a rock. And then my beloved Wood Elves, I would actually argue that they're losers as well. I don't outside of the changes to dryads and tree folk, who I think that they're quite good changes for them. The points changes just aren't really enough overall. Like, it's like a point change on Glade Guard, Eternal Guards, and a points change on Glade Riders, and they can now come in units of a minimum of 4. Like, that's not really what I think they need. I think they need some wholesale kind of rules changes, some like army-wide rules changes. I think bringing the points down is just a plaster. I read somewhere else, someone had said, in a 2K list with the points changes to Glade Guard and Eternal Guard, you are effectively getting 7 more Glade Guards into your army, which sounds about right, to be fair. And it's a 2-point drop on Sisters of the Thorn unit, so it's going to be like 10 points, a 10-point drop on a unit of Sisters of the Thorn, which is nice. But yeah, and I think it's about the same for Wild Riders as well. I don't really run Wild Riders, so I don't know what they are off the top of my head for the changes on them. But yeah, they need something. They need something a bit more kind of drastic. Whether that is they ignore the minus to hit on ranged shooting, or the minus to your ballistic skill on ranged shooting. They need something like that. I think would benefit them. Inherently having quick shot or something seems a bit more appropriate. I don't know. But then again, they are a difficult army to manage. They are, they can be, and I know that they have been in the past, competitive magnets, because if you end up with a really shooting and an uninteractive army, they can impact people's ability to engage with them. And anyway, I'm not going to go on about it. That's kind of a whole thing. But yeah, we don't have time necessarily to go through that. I need to get back to work in 19 minutes. Cool. A tease, something that I'm kind of I'm probably reading a bit too much into it. Teasers of what are to come. There are subtle kind of changes to how mercenaries work. There have been rumors for a long time. There are rumors for, that have been around now for a while, that dogs of war are supposedly on the way. I've heard on the grapevine that dogs of war aren't on the way, but this was a while ago. Like, there was lots of people kind of talking about how dogs of war were coming, and now they're not. Anyway, having known like what's like historically been in dogs of war, I'm like kind of intrigued to see that they have changed the wording around a lot of like kind of mercenary characters leading units or leading armies and stuff like that, and they've tweaked that. I know that there are a number of different dogs of war characters that are available. There's I completely forgotten the name of the guy that rides the dragon. Maybe they're just prepping some of this. They're laying the groundwork for a future Dogs of War arcane journal that could potentially be coming. I've also kind of put down here as well a potential Zealot Empire Army of Infamy as well. That could potentially be a thing as well. They've done lots of kind of changes there to lectors and flagellants, which I think could be rather interesting. So that's kind of the highlights for me of everything that kind of majorly stood out. That's, I'm not a super kind of competitive player, so if that's what you're coming here for, then I'm not really that kind of person. I kind of don't think of it like that. I'm kind of looking at kind of just the wholesale game changes and things that I find kind of interesting. Question that's just come through: Have I done Tomb Kings? If not, what are the winners and losers for the army? There was only I saw only one kind of major change, and that was on the points. I believe it was for the Tomb King skeletal chariots. I've got the documents open here. That's Grand Cathay. And I think there was that. But the big impact to Tomb Kings, will be the clarification around regen. You can't make a regen roll on unstable, which was definitely needed. I have kind of played against Tomb Kings before. They are, they can be quite punishing to kind of play against. So that doesn't surprise me. There you go. Skeleton chariots. There you go. Sorry, changes to 41, then change the armor value to 4+. So yeah, those are kind of the two changes there. There's not been a huge amount of stuff. Armor of Ages as well. Add the following to the start of the rule: models whose troop type is infantry, cavalry, or chariot only. You'd love to see a Dogs of War army. Yes, the flying guys would be really, really cool. Like I said, it's been lots of kind of very, very small changes. I just want to find the. There we go. So, this was something else that I thought if you're playing competitively, this is quite an interesting clarification. Baggage trains are now ignored for the purposes of line of sight, which I think is quite interesting. Hello, Draghor. You literally 2 hours ago bought your... Oh, no! You literally bought a balloon as the Zeppelin... as the Zeppelin came crashing down. Oh, the humanity! But if you're there as a painter, then I think fabulous. Please do send an image across. I've got a Discord channel. Come and join it and post it in the mini painting when you get it up and running. That'd be wicked. There's like I said, it opening up. It was sparse. So here you go. Year 2047. It's just a total kind of clarification on the unstable rule. This was another interesting change I thought was quite good to kind of notes around poison. So the wording, the specific wording around poison before said that you could change like any of the dice from your pool of dice that would have gone through, which was kind of clunky wording, because if you'd have had a model that had loads of different types of attacks, you could maybe change from your like AP nothing attack to an AP 2 attack or something like that. That's basically what it allowed you to do. Now they have clarified that it's got to be, and this is how I was playing it, because it makes sense. If you're making a poisoned arrow attack, it would just be that one. So this clarifies that it has to be that specific attack that has been a natural 6. Gets the +2 modifier to the hit roll. Drag Hot 20, it's unplayable now or what? No, I would say it's totally playable. It's just not broken anymore. That's the thing. They made it. They unbroke it, which is great. Where is the Cathay? Here we go. So what has happened majorly to Cathay? So let's just go over the Sky Lantern first. It's gone down from toughness 5 to toughness 4, which for a lot of armies is going to make it a little bit more like killable. For example, like if I was targeting, like, to me it kind of doesn't make sense that if I was targeting it with a bunch of my Glade Archers or Glade Guard or something like that, they're, surely they wouldn't be targeting the I guess like kind of the hot air balloon bottom bit, I don't know what you call it, the nest. They would be targeting the balloon. Like, so why can't like my arrows? Why would my arrows only be able to wound it on a 6? Now they're wounding it on a 5, which could potentially make more sense there as their strength 3. So making it toughness 4, I think makes it, that's a fantastic little change. This delete champion from the commander's profile, I can't remember that from the top of my head why that would be an issue, but there we go. It is now flammable, which makes sense. You'd be up in some gas to keep that thing going. So it kind of makes sense, and it is no longer unbreakable, which is good. I think the thing that is going to make a lot of people breathe sighs of relief is this bombing run section here. So before, the bombing run was really really devastating, because you were able to basically just throw like mini little bombs across enemy armies, and they were really devastating. And you could just do those, each turn, drop loads of them. Most people were, if you were playing competitively, you run 5 of them, and you're just throwing these bombs everywhere. And they're just, I've seen people like get very upset over it. Understandably so, because if you've got a big balloon that's dropping these things as your people get close, you can't target it with, you couldn't really do much damage on ranged shooting attacks. It just made it really nasty to kind of deal with. The Makmouche, a gondola or a howdah, and I think a howdah is something you attach on the top of something. So you'd have a howdah on a big old elephant or a giant spider, but maybe a gondola or a nest, I think could potentially work. So yeah, I think they were kind of the most aggressive kind of elements of the Cathay list. I know there's lots of people that have had issues with ogre loaders from the cannons. It has now been clarified that they are no longer characters and stuff like that. So if you attack, I think the issue around it, because I've not actually played against Cathay. So this is, I'm just getting a lot of it secondhand. Most of the time when I've gone to tournaments, I am not a top level player, which is like unless I ran into Cathay in the first round, which I've not done. All of the Cathay players have gone straight into the top ranks, so I've missed that entirely. So yeah, I've not like had the opportunity to play against Cathay. Anyway, so this is like secondhand information that I'm giving you all. But my understanding is that the ogre loader could swoop in and act as kind of like a champion, and obviously the ogre is going to be much bigger and have more wounds and all of that. And now they've kind of just through another clarification in the core rules, the ogre loader basically, if you destroy the cannon itself, you kill the ogre loader at the same time as well, so you can kind of bypass having to deal with the ogre loader, who is like more tough and all of that. I think that's broadly what's going on there. Largely, a lot of these other changes, like I know that the Ring of Jet, that's like quite a big rule change there, because that was allowing you to do dispels, if I remember correctly. I've got the rule book somewhere. I've not had the chance to kind of clarify it, but anyway. So there's plenty of kind of changes here to it, but they're the big ones. There's not been a huge amount of change there. This is the stuff that I really quite like around all of the Zealot guys, where we've had like loads of little kind of changes here to leadership, and there's been a huge amount of changes, to leadership stuff, which is really nice. We like that. If it's giving you access to more generals in your army, I'm very, very happy for you. I think that allows you to have a bit more of a diverse armies on the table, and that's really, really fun. Yeah. I have recently done the Empire Army Guide, so these guys are really front of mind, and I really love the kind of like Zealot stuff. I always find it really funny, and they're really, really characterful. So those sorts of things I find really good. A big one here, Royal Pegasus as well. Something I didn't mention, but they're now monstrous creatures, which means that I believe that means that they're no longer skirmishers, which makes them easier to hit, and all of that good stuff. So they will inherently now be close order. I think that would also mean that they would no longer be able to join units of Pegasus Knights, because they would suffer from the clumsy rule, which is what that's me in my head. Here is on the right hand side is just the disappointment. Glade Guard down from 11 points to 10. Eternal Guard down from 13 to 12. Dryads and Nymphs, that's not a disappointment. That was a pleasant surprise, actually, when I saw that. Glade Riders, I think if I remember correctly, they're base 18. I've got the book here, actually. Let me double check, because I'm currently writing the High Elf Army Guides. Let me have a look. Speedy. Glade Riders, yes, indeed, they were 18 points, down to 17. Sisters of the Thorn, they were down from 24. Like I said, I'm just not a huge fan of Wild Riders. Like, nothing to do with their rules. It's just kind of the models. Like, I really, really love the Sisters of the Thorn. I think they're really fun, and the Wild Riders for me are just like a little bit. Someone who I was chatting with that was playing Dwarfs was very, very excited that the Doomseekers have become skirmishers. So I'm really, really happy for you. If that's you. General Hans von Leeuwenhoek, I think that would be pronounced. Someone German, please correct me. Now higher leadership, which is lovely, and they're making magical attacks. That's like, it's been. Oh, here's another one. Like, these changes to Orion, I just don't see anyone kind of caring about it. Like, the issue with Orion isn't that he caused fear or whatever. It's that he's 405 points, and he's just not good enough to kind of run. He's too expensive. Like, there is somewhere where you could have made a decent kind of points change. But yeah, I think Araloth, Lord of Talsin, even there, he's probably still a bit too expensive on the 150 points. Like, these are like the points changes there, that, like, to the Wood Elves have just been so light touch. Yeah, I'm just, yeah. It's just not the one. Have Wild Riders lost Frenzy? The standard army is gaining about 25 points. Yeah, it's just not a huge amount, is it? Yeah, I think it's surprising that there were no kind of changes. As I say, to High Elves, it would have been nice to see some leadership changes there. Actually, as I'm in the depths of the High Elf army at the moment, as I'm writing the rulebook, as I'm writing the army guide. Even I'm not writing the rulebook. So yeah, it would have been nice to see some kind of changes there. Warriors of Chaos. Ravening Hordes. This was kind of interesting. The Chaos Spawn up to 2d6 plus 1. I think that's an up. By like 1 inch. I think they were just base 2d6, so they will go a minimum of 3 inches. Quell Impetuosity, change the rules whilst within 6 inches. I think that's they're now doing a reroll a failed leadership test, which isn't just straight away, if I remember correctly. Viletide, I think, has gone up to a casting value of a 9. Again, you would need to double check this. Like, I'm sure Orc and Goblin players here and Beastmen players will know this better, but I'm pretty sure that's an up for Viletide, because Viletide is really, really powerful. And it's very, very good. Points changes, I think that's down for Minotaurs and Centaurs, which is quite good, because they are underutilized at the moment. Hopefully we would see maybe some new models, at least for the Centaurs. There's been a lot of Beastmen in the lore, so it would be nice to see some kind of new Beastmen models. That would be fantastic. I'd love to see some more Beastmen stuff. Marauder, these are just changes to the base size. That's that. And then, yeah, as I said, the Tomb Guard this is Tomb Guard Chariots. This is in the Arcane Journal. They are now 49 points, which again I think is quite good. Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump off and run back to work in 1 minute. So thank you very much for watching my very, very quick high-level overview, half-hour snapshot at what I think are the biggest ups and downs, the biggest winners and the losers. If you missed the beginning, I'll just kind of give you the quick highlight just to kind of go over it one last time. So it's largely just been clarifications, bug fixes, answers to vague questions. Biggest changes are with Cathay, as expected. Lots and lots of small changes to factions. Lots of stuff that I'm giving 2 thumbs up to. I think there's lots of just those little tweaks have just will make a lot of a difference to some factions. Army building, which is quite good, and I think there are visions of the future, particularly around mercenaries and Dogs of War and all of that sort of stuff. So let me know in comments what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Please give us give the video a like, a subscribe, really helps. All of that good stuff. Let me just see if there are any remaining comments that I have missed out on. Separate nerf, Cathay weapons dropping hand grenades from strength 4 to strength 3 is another balloon nerf. Yes, that is a balloon nerf. Thank you, Hopeless Heresy. It is a happy day for Old Worlders. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Tag Denied. We will see you all very, very soon. Thank you very much. Yes, I'll be back soon, actually, with the High Elf Army Guide. So we'll see you around for that one. Bye.